Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. Here's your host, Russ McClellan.
Hey, good morning. This is Russ McClellan. Thanks for tuning into the radio show, Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. Today is one of those days where it's just me, myself, and Irene. Anybody remember that movie? Jim Carrey? Multiple personality disorder or something like that? Well, I think realtors have that most of the time, including me. You ever find yourself being a squirrel? You know what that means? Squirrel. I'm looking for nuts. Squirrel. Always changing, always moving. Sometimes feeling like your day, especially in the land of COVID, is full of insanity more than it is full of stability. Well, I think we're all there. And so I thought today we'd just talk a little bit about that and what can you do about that when you feel like you're kind of out of control. I don't know about you guys, but I have seen stress manifest itself differently in the last 2 years than at a very strange level, higher than I've ever seen it before in my 30 plus year career in real estate. And it's the little things, right? Have you guys had this experience where, you know, something happens maybe at home, forget to take the garbage out, and boom, your spouse or partner loses their mind and wants to drop a stick of dynamite in the kitchen emotionally? Or maybe at work, somebody left the coffee cup out on the counter, and then that person loses their mind over it. Well, often, you know, we don't know what people are going through, right? So all we see is the end result of that stress that's been manifested or been triggered, is the new word of the day, right? Triggered by a final situation. That's where road rage comes from a lot of times, unless you're just a complete sociopath. But road rage is something where, you know, often people get cut off on the freeway and they lose their mind and they put themselves and their family in danger over something. And then when it's all over, they're like, why did I do that? Why did I risk my family over some person I don't know? How about this? When we allow people to upset us and we haven't really given them, I should say it this way. We allow people to upset us, and they don't deserve the power to be able to upset us. In other words, if we can control our own mind and control our own actions, and someone that we don't respect anyway, maybe we don't even know them. That happens a lot on social media where there's armchair quarterbacks and people critiquing you from the bleacher seats that have never stood in the arena. You know, the famous Theodore Roosevelt poem, Man in the Arena. If you don't, you should really look it up on the web. It's a great one. But then all of a sudden we get upset, physically upset, passionately upset about somebody that said or did something to us and that we don't respect them anyway. We don't even know them. So my question is, why do we give people that power when they don't deserve it? Because if you look at the power to upset you, and there are people in your life that should have that power, your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers, people that you respect. You should give them the sacred gift of allowing them to upset you if they feel it's necessary. And hopefully those people are doing it from a place of love, not a place of hate. But just think about that. The next time you're getting upset, is it worth it? Is it worth it to allow that person? Maybe they had something going on in their life and they're out of control too, you know. What I'm trying to do today is I want to bring something to the table a little bit differently, and that's a program that we have. We call it the 6 Personal Perspectives. It's not really just a real estate program. In fact, it really isn't a real estate program. And so what I thought I'd do is I'd just share some of the information in the 6 Personal Perspectives, which is a class that we teach often at our real estate company, and it involves mindset. I believe mindset is the most powerful component in anything that you're going to do. Often we teach in real estate, and I've done it for a lot of years, taught tactics, strategies, processes. But really what's the foundation of all of those things is a mindset. How do you look at the world? How do you look at yourself? How do you feel? If you feel good, you play good. If you feel bad, you probably won't play as good. Works in sports, works in business, works in life. So what we try to do is talk about some of these things. And I'm just going to mention the 6 personal perspectives, and then we'll kind of dive into each one a little bit. The first one is commit to self-mastery. The second one is commit to the 80-20 principle. And we'll get into these. The 80-20 principle is a fact that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. That's crazy, but it's true. The third one is move from E to P in your attitude and your actions. And what that means is try to go from a gunslinging, unpredictable, non-systematized, non-calendar entrepreneur that is winging it, which there are some very strong attributes in being an entrepreneur for sure, but move to a purposeful mindset so you know what you're doing that day. That will help alleviate a lot of stress, and we'll get into that. The fourth one is make being learning-based the foundation of your action plan in life. There's basically two ways of being, right? Only two: learning-based or ignorant-based. Ignorant-based just means you're all that in a bag of chips and you can't learn anything else. Well, if you are around those people, run away or try to help them. Number 5 is remove your limiting beliefs. Now, every human on planet Earth has limiting beliefs. Some maybe are valid, and maybe some limiting beliefs serve you, but most do not. The word can't should be removed from your vocabulary. Maybe I'm currently challenged by, or I'm currently working on, or something more positive than I just can't. You ever heard the saying, if you think you can and you think you can't, both are right? And the sixth one is be accountable. Be accountable. So we're going to get into that. And essentially what that means is, what are your standards in life? And are you holding yourself accountable? Because when you look in the mirror, that's your competition. Are you even thinking about your standards? And in our world, standards are non-negotiables. I'm going to brush my teeth. That's a standard. Or in real estate, I'm going to make 10 calls a day. That's a standard. That's a non-negotiable with yourself, but you have to hold yourself accountable. And we'll get into the difference between standards and goals and stretch goals. So anyway, those are the 6 personal perspectives, and I think it's a powerful, powerful course because it makes us think a little bit. And at a time of complete, what feels like chaos at times all around us, there's some crazy things happening in the world right now. Crazy things. So we can sit and focus on those crazy things from a negative perspective, or we can try to work around it and try to live our best life, and a life and make decisions that our future self will really be happy we made. So let me ask you something. Experience, understandability changed his perspective on life forever, Rick says. So this is a quote. Rick says, "I was given the gift of seeing into the future and then coming back and living differently. For the rest of today, perhaps, imagine you got the same gift." So my challenge to you is asking yourself, how would you change? What would you do that you are waiting to get done because you think you will be here forever? So in your life, are there things that you've always wanted to do or be or become, and you always put them off because you thought you would live forever? Well, these are just things to think about. My parents recently passed away, my dad in 2020, my mom in 2021. They were best friends, and they were best friends of mine. And I was very grateful that I spent as much time with them as I did. Those are one of those things where we're moving and shaking so fast in life that you can always just, I'll do that next time. How about when your little, daughter or son comes to you and says, "Hey, you want to play a board game?" "Well, I'm too busy." Or, "Hey, let's go out and play catch." "I'm too busy." And you rationalize it, right? You're working. I did it. I don't have too many regrets in life because I tend to go for it, and I tend to hit brick walls at 800 miles an hour in my life. And that's been good because it's taught me a lot of lessons that only by doing that I could share with other people. And in our real estate company, mindset and experience and caring about people, including the God family business hierarchy, well, it's real. So I am trying to help people the best way I can. We have over 70 people. We have over 50 people in a course, and I believe there's unlimited potential in real estate. And part of it's not just about real estate. It's about these kind of conversations that we have in our office. And I don't know if these kind of conversations are happening in other offices or not, but it's definitely a part of what we do. So think about those 3 things that you might do differently. Do a reality check, right? How often do we just take time, slow down, take a deep breath, and do a reality check? It's one of the things that high achievers have in common. I'm going to read something. High achievers all have a reality mindset. That is, the first thing they do is recognize where they are and proactively take action based on that reality. Without this reality check, many people are under the delusion that they are farther along than they actually are. With a sound reality check, they can collaborate the tools and resources they will need to achieve the goal. In other words, if you don't know where you're at, it's hard to know where you're going. If you're not clear with what you want, it's hard to get there. When we come back, we'll continue to dive in. This is a pretty powerful subject. I hope it's helping. That's my intent. I care about you. I appreciate you listening. I'll be right back with segment number 2, and we'll keep talking about mindset today on Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and Friends.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Home Sweet Home, Home Sweet Home.
Hey, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams. I want to talk to you about something. Do you feel stuck? Do you feel the financial pressures of the COVID virus? That was fun, wasn't it? I'll tell you what, real estate can be a game changer for you, and I'm here to help you. If you want to give me a call at 509-888-0038, I want to talk about your life and getting unstuck. We are growing rapidly. We're the fastest growing real estate company in all of North Central Washington. Give us a call. I want to help you. 509-888-0038.
With the new Keller Williams School of Real Estate, you can now get your license for free. Access tools, tips, and personalized coaching with Keller Williams' award-winning training programs, and start off your career in real estate the right way. K-Score is 100% online and entirely free to students, with pre-licensing curriculum geared toward placing aspiring agents on a direct path to licensure and profitability. With K-Score, we're not just unlocking the door, we're opening every door to anyone that's ever dreamed of starting their career in real estate. We're making a difference for you so that you can make a difference for others. Now available for all individuals in Washington. Your future awaits. Enroll today.
We're excited. We got a lot of people signing up, so give us a call, 509-888-0038, or simply email us at joinus@kwncw.com. Let's go from being stuck to unstuck.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. And here's Russ.
Today we're talking about mindset. How you feeling today? How are you feeling today? How are the loved ones around you feeling today? What would it be like if you calendared time with your loved ones, friends, where you had purposeful thinking in mind, where you were going to talk about that? What are your wins? You know, we wake up every morning and we see so many negative things. You know, one of the habits that I have that I'm trying to break bad is when I wake up, I grab my phone immediately. And I start looking at all the emails that came in from all the deals we're doing, and we're doing a lot of deals. And as a designated broker, that's one of my responsibilities. So it's easy for me to rationalize that because you have 70 plus people doing, 50, 60 closings a month. And I'm responsible for them. I do get a lot of help from my managing broker, Stephanie Jones. She's a stud. But it's still a habit, right? And I can rationalize that habit because I'm working. But is that more or less important than spending some time with the people that I care about and love? And that, or maybe just with myself, thinking about my day, thinking about giving myself time to think about the wins, not the losses, thinking about the accomplishments, the accolades, not the things I failed at. And hey, failing is just spicy learning. That's all it is. Just a jalapeno learning. That's it. Failing is part of life. So anyway, we do a reality check. And the last thing we talked about, what is your goal? And again, there's a difference between a standard and a goal. A standard is non-negotiable. And if you differentiate the two, that helps, right? So what is your goal? How are you doing with your goal? How do you feel about that? What will your future look like if you do not achieve your goal? You have to understand your big why, right? In real estate, I tell our brokers that money, although nobody's allergic to it, in my opinion, is a shallow goal. We're in the service industry, right? In real estate. So I train people to think about quantifying the money. That's fine. You quantify the goal, but you do it in a perspective of average gross commission income per transaction. And then you can think about how many families do I get to help this month? So when you're tired or you're burned out or you've been through a tough transaction, you think about, well, I owe it to people to help them. If you're coming from a place of contribution, if you're coming from a place of selfishness and capitalistic, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Making money, there's not a crime there. But I know a lot of people on Wall Street that are pretty unhappy that have a lot of money, right? So helping people buy and sell homes is a lot bigger than making money. The money comes if you help people. So, what are some of the ahas on that? That's the question. When you commit to self-mastery is what? The possession of great knowledge, skills, and habits that you make you the master of you. How often do we feel out of control? When you commit to achieving self-mastery, you must, A, know your goals, like we just talked about. Know your strengths and weaknesses. Be honest with yourself, right? Lying to yourself is it's an epidemic. But it doesn't work. You can fake it till you make it for a while, but can you fake it till you make it with yourself? Maybe with other people, but not when you're looking in the mirror. It's just you in the mirror, right? Number 3 is know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to seek and master the necessary knowledge, skills, and habits to reach your goals. If you're not honest with yourself, how are you going to know what to work on? What we often do as humans is we tend to do what we're good at. We tend to do what we like. And that keeps us in our comfort zone. For example, if you never public speak and you're afraid of public speaking, do you think you'll ever get good at public speaking? Well, maybe you don't need to. My point is, if you had a desire to be influential with people, you need to speak to them. I tell real estate brokers it's very difficult to be successful in real estate if you don't talk to people. And in today's world, a lot of times people don't talk to people. They use text and Snapchat and TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. But they very rarely pick up the phone. So if you're weak in an area, focus on that first. It's a journey. It's not an event. It's a journey. Mindset is a journey like everything else. The first piece of the puzzle to identify your goal, let's say yours is to master prospecting if you're in real estate, right? Master prospecting. The next step is to identify your strengths and weaknesses. For example, someone might have a strength of being really good with people. They have a natural gift of gab. The weakness might be uncomfortable bringing up the word business in their everyday life. Well, being a secret agent to me means like if you don't ever tell anybody in real estate, then there's probably not going to be anybody that wants to list their home with you or have you help them buy a home because they don't know you're in real estate, right? But there's this limiting belief that I don't like talking to people about business. I feel like I'm bugging them. Well, if you put your mindset in a place of contribution, then you're coming to help people, not hurt them. That makes it a little bit easier. Once you're aware of these 3 pieces, you can create a plan to master prospecting. This little piece to the puzzle could be like practicing scripts. That will help you say the right things in the right order. A script is not BS, right? A script is not a lie. It's not a fabrication. A script is just somebody has said the right things in the right order to effectively communicate the point in which you're trying to make. I'll give you the perfect example of the greatest script I ever heard in my life. I was a child, and my mom, who passed away last year, bless her heart, was the sweetest person on planet Earth. But I was told, Rusty, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to get the wooden spoon. That invoked an emotional reaction in me as a child. I typically would push it until the drawer got open and her hand went in to reach for the wooden spoon before I would stop. So I was pressing envelopes, but it was an effective script. So practice scripts, practice those, find those classes in our business is called BOLD. That's one that help you master that. And then start talking to people. We often ask people about their database when they get into real estate. Like, what's your database? How many people are in your database? 90% of the people say, I don't know. I don't have a database. And I go, really? So I say, do you have a phone? Yeah, I have an iPhone. Could you pull it out? Okay. Could you go to the contacts in your iPhone? Yep. Okay. Hit the letter Z on the right-hand side and scroll all the way to the bottom of your contacts. And at the bottom of the last contact, there's a number. What's your number? People might say 250. Well, that's how many you have in your database to start with. So we all have a database. We all have a sphere of influence. We all have friends we know. We all have family we love, and so on. So those are some pretty practical ways to look at mastering something that you're uncomfortable with. And then you got to think about, what are the 3 things that are going to get in my way? What are the 3 obstacles that you think might hinder your success? And consult and discuss with someone you care about, a coach, your spouse, a friend, coworker, about what you think those obstacles are, and then dig deep. And when you're thinking about digging deep, about being honest with yourself, it's not always, the obstacles are not always the most obvious, because we've become programmed through our entire life to suppress the real issues that are making me shy, for example. So this isn't easy stuff, right? But it's hard to go forward when you're standing still also, right? We have to start somewhere. So, I just like to think about it in the form of ahas, right? Like, what are some of the ahas that, and one of my ahas is constantly realizing how much I don't know. And that's also a gift. But I can always be more humble because everybody brings something powerful to the table through their life experience. And I'm just fascinated by how much people are the same and how much we're different. And that makes real estate a fun business and life, right? Okay, the second one is the 80-20 rule. This is the second perspective that I want to talk about for a minute. And it's basic. In real estate, it's 80% of the work's done by 20% of the people. But it's also a perspective from the philosophy of how we look at things, right? What are we focusing on? And what you focus on does expand, right? Have you ever heard the expression, thoughts are things? Well, that's because when you think about something, especially when you say it out loud, your brain doesn't care if it's true or not true. Your brain's going to automatically find the evidence to support it. The chemicals are going to run through your body like dopamine, etc., until you get the answer you want. And if you say I'm ugly out loud, your brain's going to go, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to go find the evidence to support it. If you say I'm no good, same thing. If you say I'm the greatest, Muhammad Ali was the best at this, right? Showman. But you know what he was doing? He was creating confidence. I'm the greatest. I'm pretty. I'm so fast, the lights turn out before I get in bed. Or something like that. I'm in bed before the lights turn out. I had it backwards. Anyway, I'm as cool as the other side of the pillow. There's a lot of Muhammad Ali quotes, but that guy was a master of affirmations. People thought he was just a showman, but he was also telling himself, convincing himself from a place that no one thought he could get to where he was at. He held strong to his convictions. So there's this experiment. You guys might have heard of the big rocks come first, right? So when you're working on something, there's this, I don't know what it's called, an example basically, and somebody said, fill this jar up, right? And if you have rocks, pebbles, sand, and water, fill it up with all of them. Well, if you put the water in first and then you put the big rocks in, guess what happens? All the water leaves. So if you put the big rocks first, the pebbles in second, they'll find a little room. The sand will find in the crevices between the pebbles and the big rocks, and then the last thing you do is put in the water. Sometimes doing the right things in the right order make a difference. All right, we'll be right back with the third segment.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true. Whoa, sweet
With the new Keller Williams School of Real Estate, you can now get your license for free. Access tools, tips, and personalized coaching with Keller Williams award-winning training programs and start off your career in real estate the right way. K-Score is 100% online and entirely free to students, with pre-licensing curriculum geared toward placing aspiring agents on a direct path to licensure and profitability. With K-Score, we're not just unlocking the door, we're opening every door to anyone that's ever dreamed of starting their career in real estate. We're making a difference for you so that you can make a difference for others. Now available for all individuals in Washington. Your future awaits. Enroll today.
We're excited. We got a lot of people signing up, so give us a call, 509-888-0038, or simply email us at joinus@kwncw.com. Let's go from being stuck to unstuck. Hi, this is Russ McClellan, designated broker and operating partner of Keller Williams Realty NCW. You know, we have almost 70 agents and growing rapidly. We're almost a legit company now with over 2.5 years experience. The good news is this: if you're thinking about changing your life, my goal and my mission to you is to help you transform the life that you deserve and that you want, using real estate as the vehicle to do that. What does that mean? Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. If you want to work part-time, I'll show you how to do it. If you want to work full-time, I'll show you how to do it. And I'm also willing to show and demonstrate our commitment to you and our conviction to our company and transparency by giving you any of the numbers of any of the 70 people that work at Keller Williams. We're a family, we care about each other, and we care about you. So if you want to change your life, you want to get into real estate and have some fun, let's get together and talk. 509-888-0038. Give me a call anytime. You can also call my cell phone at 509-470-2416.
You're tuned to Russ McClellan and Friends on the Real Estate Show, Home Sweet Home. Let's get back to Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ McClellan and Friends. Thanks for tuning in. We're talking mindset. There's a difference between, you know how many people make checklists every day? I make checklists to make checklists. I'm organizing to get organized all the time. This is one of my weaknesses, right? But there's a difference between a to-do list and a success list. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Let's say your goal is to run a marathon. Of all the activities on your to-do list, some will lead to more success than others. And it's the 20% from the success list that we have the most impact. You have to make sure you prioritize. So here's an example. If you're going to run a marathon, what can we do? We need to decide the priorities of the activities. So like number 1 would be select a running regimen. Number 2, select strength program. Number 3, find a comfortable running group or compatible running group. Number 4, work on a diet and plan. Number 5, work on a hydration plan. Then it drops into other activities. Select running regimen. Okay. Under that number 1, there's 5 activities. Time block training schedule. Check equipment. Join an upcoming 5K. Etc. You see what I'm saying? So every time we want to achieve something, we first have to decide what is the goal. And then what are, like, say, the 3 priorities underneath that goal that if you do those things, well, the odds of your goal being achieved in the time that you allowed it to happen will happen. And then under each of the 3 priorities, develop 5 activities that if you do these activities daily, the priority will be hit, and the goal will be achieved. That's called a 1-3-5 at our company, or a GPS. And if you don't write these things down and you don't put thought into them, then we just continue in the comfort zone that we've been living in for a long time. And what happens is we want something different, but we don't make changes. And there's a simple saying: if nothing changes, nothing changes. Right? Mindset. We also provide a 411, and these are things not just in real estate. Of course, at our company, when we're training, real estate is the focus, but so is life. And you can use these little tricks in life. We call it a 411. The 411 Action Goal Worksheet is a tool that you can use to keep track and stay focused on your goals. The 411 is a reflection of your top priorities, or those big rocks, the 20%. It is a list of goals broken down into annual, monthly, and weekly categories. 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. It is designed to help set both long-range goals as results and short-range goals as activities that bring those results to fruition. In other words, when you want to run a marathon, too many people focus on running a marathon and not the activities in the short term. And then they don't do the activities. They eat at McDonald's, they go get a pizza. They go, I'm out of shape. Forget that goal. I mean, how many times at the end of the year, if we went to a gym January 1st versus going to a gym February 15th? Where did all those people go that showed up January 1st with their New Year's resolutions? Well, if you don't hold yourself accountable and you don't have a plan, then it's easy to fall back in as a human to our comfort zone. And our comfort zone is something that we're really practiced at. It's not your fault. I mean, we're all where we're at and we're exactly where we need to be. And it's never too late to make an adjustment, right? It's never too late to change and be passionate about something. The best way to get out of a depression and I'm not a clinical psychologist, so I shouldn't speak like that, but in my opinion, one of the best ways is to find something that you can control and focus on that. In a world pandemic, we have a human need for certainty, and it's been all but certain, right? So taking control is first done by writing these things down and then taking action on those activities, as small as they may be. So if I wanted to run a marathon, I haven't ran in a long time, people. I probably should start by walking to the end of my block and back, right? And not be discouraged by that, because we often underestimate what we can do in 6 months to a year, and we overestimate what we can do in a day. Like, I might go out the first day. How many people have done this? I was an athlete in high school and college. I hadn't lifted weights in a long time, so I go bench press like a madman, and the next day I can't lift my arms. Right? And I'm down for 2 weeks because I'm like, what the heck? And the older I got, the easier that became to do, right? That youthful exuberance mind of mine and the reality of how I have to tune up my body, it takes longer. So I don't get discouraged. I just focus on the activities, the smaller results daily, that if you do those activities, the priority will be hit and your goal will be achieved. And not beating yourself up. That's half the battle. You got to, once in a while, time block a place to build a bunker around your thoughts. Do you know how many people, I just had my partner the other day say this to me, who flew somewhere on an airplane. When he landed, he's like, oh man, I had so many good thoughts. I got them all down. I can't wait to meet you. I should get on a plane more often so I can goal set. I'm like, we don't need to get on a plane to do it. But how often have you been in environments, you're waiting at a doctor's office for somebody, your spouse or your loved one or child, etc., and then you're doing something that you're focused on and you don't have distractions? That's called building a bunker. Give yourself time and permission to think about your day. Don't do what I've been doing, and that's grab my phone while I'm still in bed and my eyes open. That's so dumb. Hey man, we're all there. We all make mistakes. We all can improve. That's the key. The last thing today that I want to talk about is the third personal perspective, and that's E to P. Move from entrepreneurship mindset to purposeful thinking. You can attain a certain level of success utilizing your natural abilities, but expect to hit a ceiling at some point. Wouldn't you like to achieve even greater success and break through that ceiling, right? How about living a larger life or attaining your one thing? What is your one thing? Have you thought about it? Like, before you run out of time, what's the one thing you want to do? We call them bucket lists, right? How about a bucket one thing? Instead of naming 20 things, how about we pick one? What happens is, if you're natural at something, you're gonna lean into that. So if you have a natural gift of gab in real estate, you're gonna be good at that. But you're not gonna be purposeful necessarily unless you practice being purposeful, because your natural tendencies are to be quote unquote salesperson. There's a difference. And the other day I just shared this with some people. I said the E shouldn't stand for entrepreneurship mindset. It should stand for ego. And I'll use myself as an example. 25 years in real estate at an independent company that I owned, for the most part. I was pretty practiced at entrepreneurship, pretty practiced at gunslinging, reinventing the wheel every day, without a system, really. I didn't know what I didn't know. That's what being around Keller Williams has taught me. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I've been doing something for 2.5 decades, and I just am now learning things that, man, would have been powerful if I would have learned them 25 years ago. E is for ego. We get real good at being who we want to be naturally, and then we get real good at bitching about what we don't have and complaining about this or complaining about that or being a victim. You know, judgment, when you're judging other people, what ends up happening is there's one of two people, right? When something goes sideways, there's a perpetrator and there's a victim. And most of the time, people put themselves in the role of the victim. Whether it's the news, whether it's politics, whether it's the weather, whether it's my job, my boss, the school, I'm a victim if I am just pure judgment. So if we, in business and in life, if we go away from ego and more into a system, and we time block that system, or we spend some time with our loved ones and ourselves really outlining some strategic moves. One of the best ways to do that, honestly, is write down what you do every day for like a week. Just do your normal life and just journal it for a week and be disciplined about it. Don't skip things that you don't like to write down. You have to be honest with yourself, right? And then see where you spent your time. And did you spend your time, the majority of your time, on the 20% that will get you 80% of what you want? Or did you spend the majority of your time on the 80% of things that will only get you 20% of what you want? Again, we often are moving so fast and we're getting hit with so much information, we just don't know what we don't know. We're in the mundane, we're a little hamster on a wheel running really, really fast and not really going anywhere. That's not a productive day. I appreciate you tuning in. This is all fun stuff, right? Challenging our mind once in a while and realizing that everything is going to be okay. Wake up. Don't look at the problems. Wake up and write down what you're grateful for. Commit to it. Try it for a week. Although, by the way, it takes like 33 days, they say, to build a habit. And you know what's weird about that? They used to say it was like 17 or 18 or something like that. It takes twice as long to build a habit in today's world than it used to, because we're bombarded by so many distractions, so much crap. Turn off the TV. We all have 168, right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a rule of 168. Figure out where you're spending your time. And you might find a way to make some changes to get you from being stuck to unstuck, or being unhappy to happy. But you have to be honest with yourself. I work on it every day, and I'm still working on it. We're all in the same boat. All right, when we come right back, we'll be with Michael Majer and PrimeLending. Thanks for tuning in on this Mindset Day.
Keller Williams, you make dreams come true.
Hey, this is Russ, McClellan, operating partner and designated broker of Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I'm excited to say we are growing at an unprecedented rate. We're almost 70 real estate brokers and popping about 3 deals a day in some cases. It's really pretty fun. And the reason I wanted to do an ad today was about our people. The culture of Keller Williams is really simple this. We believe in an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset. What does that mean? Well, although we're competitive, we all go out and try to get some similar listings. And with almost 70 people, you might think that that's a problem. But in reality, with an abundant mindset, we know that for us to win, you don't have to lose. With our creative marketing that is unbelievable, with our operating system Command, we're reaching literally hundreds of thousands of people instantly. So if you're interested in selling or buying with one of our agents, trust me, you won't be disappointed. Give us a call at our office, 509-888-0038, or email me direct at russ@frontlinechelan.com. Hi, this is Russ McClellan with Keller Williams Realty, North Central Washington. Hey, I have an exciting opportunity that I want to share. Keller Williams is partnered with the largest real estate school in the country, and we are now offering free real estate training. That includes not just the 90 hours that you need for pre-licensing requirements by the state of Washington, but real-life practical experience as well. Give us a call at 509-888-0038 or email us at joinus@kwncw.com.
You're listening to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and Friends. And here's Russ.
Hey, welcome back to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and Friends. Got Michael Majer with PrimeLending as per our usual MO. How you doing, Michael?
Doing well. Excited to talk to everybody about some hot topics that have been all over the news lately.
Yeah, wow. What do these words mean anyway? Does anybody have any idea what the word inflation means?
Right.
What does it do? And maybe we could dive into that. Like, I heard a stat the other day that I don't, anymore. I don't know what's true and untrue, so I just kind of pretend I do. But I heard that 40% of all the money in circulation right now in America has been printed in the last 24 months.
Yep, I heard the same one.
Yeah, that is hard to believe, but they printed something like $6 trillion, and it's some goofy number like 500 million a day. It's coming off the printing press. Well, supply and demand, you add enough dollars into the market, it's going to devalue it. If you devalue the dollar, it creates inflation. If you stimulate the economy and it overheats, that's a problem. So we raise interest rates to combat inflation. Now, I'm not an economist, and it was a long time ago that I got that econ minor, so you might want to look that up on YouTube. But what we are seeing is interest rates are ticking up, aren't they?
They are, yep. And they're supposed to, at least the feds have said, and we never know if they're going to act on what they say or not, but they're expected to raise them at least 4 more times. And they're not directly, when feds raise those interest rates, they're not directly correlated with the mortgage rates, but they do have an adverse effect on them eventually once it ties to the bond market and such. But at the end of the day, people can look at that, and it's great to know how and why they're affected. But the most important thing is that they are affected. And then if you're sitting around and you're waiting, or you're just not maybe finding the right property, or you're thinking values are going to come down, I'm going to tell you one thing is that even if values did come down, interest rates are most likely continue to go up. And just to give you an example, last year around this time, there's a bond loan that I kind of like to take a look at because it kind of gives me a reflection on really where the rates are headed as far as what's going to happen and what the trend is. But last year, I think you could get it for about 2.875 for a 30-year fixed. And just the other day, I saw that particular rate hit 5%, and it fluctuates on a daily basis. But once it hit that, it was like, all right, we understand now that things are changing and money is going to get more expensive. We're still historically low as far as rates go on the long term. But, when you're talking historic lows in the 2s and then it goes up to the 4s, well, you're doubling that. And that's actually going to potentially hinder a lot of people and keep them from being qualified because the rate has gone up significantly.
Yeah, there's a couple other things to think about that I want people to really listen to, and talking about urgency and making a move. And I'm talking about helping them, not hurting them. It's not about a money thing for us. It's about, here's the reality. I think you're going to see a perfect storm, and that means that we're going to have appreciation still, because think about it. We've unlocked 4.6 million people that can now live on our side of the mountains and make the same amount of money that up until 2 years ago, before COVID started, they had to live in Puget Sound to make. So I'm seeing more primary resident buyers than I've ever seen. They're coming over with a bucket load of equity by selling their primary residence, and it's still a very strong market in Puget Sound. And they're making more money than the average person here by far, right? Just the economy is different in Seattle than it is in Wenatchee. So that happens, and interest rates might tick up. Now, the problem with the idea that they'll go down is this. The Federal Reserve Bank has been lending money to banks to loan to other people at 0%. It's hard to go below 0. So the only way that it can go is up, right? And the other day, I don't know if you saw the cryptocurrency markets crash in half. Well,
tanked. Yep.
All they did was say, we're thinking about raising interest rates. And here's the reality. I saw a podcast that was pretty fascinating and very elementary in a way. It said, try to imagine all this free money that we printed and gave out to people. And then we put a moratorium on foreclosures and evictions. And then some people, not all people, some people really needed that money and it helped millions of people. Some people took, instead of making their mortgage payment, they went out and bought an RV, right? They spent money buying things, right? So all of a sudden trickle-down economics heated up the market. And that's, cryptocurrency is a high-risk investment for most people. I mean, I think that's agreeable. Well, all of a sudden when you're starting to talk about this oversupply of money that I shouldn't maybe have, or it kind of came to me pretty easy, I'm more willing to invest in RVs, boats, planes, automobiles, cryptocurrency. And guess what happened? The same time that the crypto market went down, Warren Buffett's companies hit an all-time high because it's more of a stable investment. So investors, hedge fund managers, all of a sudden they go, we're getting out of this and we're getting into that, which is more stable because we anticipate rates going up. And that was just with a hint by the Federal Reserve. What if they actually do, or when they do raise them from 0%, what happens? So my point is this. Here's the other problem, and you can talk about this, Michael, but servicing agents, and if I say this wrong, please correct me, servicing agents that said in the moratorium of foreclosures that you're going to be able to put all those payments that you didn't make for that year on the back end of your note that you owe us, and we'll just re-amortize it, or we'll just add it to the end. But that's not always the case, is it? Sometimes people say, I want all those payments now. Is that true?
No, yep. There's a few different options that people have. And like you said, they can re-amortize it or do a loan modification. And there are some servicers that want their money now. And the issue that we're running into sometimes with trying to help people out as far as doing a refi to help them catch up on payments and such is you typically have to have made 3 months mortgage payments on the loan modification in order to even qualify to refinance the loan. So if you have been laid off due to the pandemic or anything else that's going on and you haven't been able to catch up or make those payments, it can be hard to refinance, which in that case, it's never a good idea to go into foreclosure if you can avoid it. So talk to a real estate agent and that they can at least get you an idea of what it could be worth, because there's a chance that you probably have a significant amount of equity in there and you never want it to let that go back to the bank. You can always restart fresh, sell the home, collecting the equity you have, and kind of reset from there.
Yeah, and that's a timing issue, right? And the ostrich mentality of putting our head in the sand and saying this is unfair. The problem with saying things are unfair or fair is there's a perpetrator and a victim, right? And you become a victim instead of being proactive. Now, it sucks that you have to sell your home if you're in this situation. I get it and I empathize with it. But be bold. Realize that there are other options for you. Get a professional realtor involved to help you if you're in this point. I mean, I'm creating this, I'm saying this with some emphatically because I'm seeing it happen. I had a friend of mine from Seattle teach a class not that long ago, and she was a foreclosure kind of short sale expert on the west side of the mountains, actually in Bellingham. And up until maybe 6 months ago, they might have seen 1 or 2 BPO or broker price opinion requests, which are pre-foreclosures. So they'll ask banks will ask realtors to go, hey, drive by that and tell me what you think it's worth. Because these people are starting to be in foreclosure, or maybe they missed a payment, or they're not necessarily in foreclosure, but it's getting close. Well, she told me just a few weeks ago that she was now seeing between 10 and 20 a day. So 10x, 20x. So what that tells me is that there's going to be there's people in trouble, and we can help them. You can help them with a refinance. We can help them with selling, even if they don't want to sell, and then getting into something else. And there's some tricks around using the rehab loan as well when they want to buy something else if they don't think they can afford it. We've talked about this many times, right? Buy the ugly duckling and fix it up in a good neighborhood. And we have a loan. You have a loan. You have a loan that you can make that happen, right?
Yeah, we actually have over 18 of them, and for all different loan types and property types, manufactured homes and duplexes and anything you can think of, pool loans. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to add creative equity, and it's just a matter of sitting down with the right partners, the right realtor, the right lender, and the right contractor, and kind of hashing it out and figuring out what the property needs and what you can afford. And you get to add it all into the loan, and you can still put minimum down as far as the down payments go, and all of a sudden you're sitting on a lot more equity.
Absolutely. Free market analysis at Keller Williams. You know what that means? We can tell you what your home is worth for free, no obligation. That's a first good step to figure out what the heck is happening to me. You might have more equity, meaning the difference between what your home is worth and what you owe on it, than you think. There's also capital gains exemptions that might be helpful to you, meaning that net profit that you make on your home when you sell it under certain conditions, like if you've lived in it over the last two years out of the last 5, et cetera, you can talk to an accountant, but you keep up to, if you're married, up to $500,000 in exemption. If you're single, up to $250,000 in capital gains. So there's ways to help, and there's professionals that'll give you a lot of free advice. This is where we start. This is why we come from a place of contribution. It's why I work with you, Michael, and Sharon and PrimeLending, because you guys actually, not that you're the only ones, but you definitely care about people.
Absolutely. That's what we do.
And I like to say this, we quarterback transactions as real estate brokers. So we work with allied forces, meaning attorneys, inspectors, lenders like yourself, et cetera, and we trust those people. Part of our obligation as a fiduciary is to help you find the right people to aid you in your objective. And sometimes you got to play defense, and sometimes you got to be offense, and sometimes you got to do both. So being proactive is important, right?
Absolutely. Yep. Couldn't agree more.
All right, man. What's your phone number? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, phone number is 425-760-8824. You can call or text me anytime, and we can have a conversation on what you have going on. And yeah, looking forward to working with anybody that needs help.
All right, man. Well, we've been talking mindset a lot lately, and nothing changes if nothing changes. So give us a call anytime. Go spend some time with your friends and family. Take a deep breath. The world's going to keep spinning on its axis for a little while longer anyway. Let's have some fun. Enjoy your day. Be with your family and friends. Thanks for tuning in to Home Sweet Home with Russ, McClellan, and friends.
It's a bright new day. Just can't